Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, All You Need to Know About the Canadian Front of Pack Nutrition Labeling. My name is Rana. I am a nutrition expert, and I will be hosting today's webinar. And I have also with me Aya. She's going to be our co-host for today, along with Reem and Rachel, who are also nutrition experts, and they will be answering all your questions in the chat box. So please feel free to ask anything you want. They will be supporting you in the chat box. So today's topic is one that will impact nearly every packaged food product in Canada, and the deadline is closer than it feels. So let's dive in. But before that, we'd like to get to know you. So I'm launching a quick poll in the chat box. So basically, I'm going to ask you who believes front of pack labeling will change the way we shop. Please feel free to answer in the chat box. Wow, so we have some mixed answers. Nice. Okay. So the majority do believe that the front of pack labeling will change the way we shop. Well, basically, I do too. I do believe that the front of pack will change the way we look at nutrition facts because I think that it will help people make faster, healthier choices when they see the front of pack in front of them. Thank you so much for answering. So let's dive in. So the agenda for today will include why FOP labeling matters, what do the symbols look like, the thresholds, when is it required, the exemptions and the common pitfalls that we fall for, how to take off your checklist for the action plan, how to do it on the Food Label Maker software, and lastly, there will be a Q&A 15 minutes, open floor for all your questions. I will make sure to answer them all. So why front of pack labeling actually matters? So on July 20, 2022, Health Canada finalized the regulations introducing mandatory FOP nutrition labeling. And honestly, this was a major milestone in Canada to support healthier eating. So the purpose was to help consumers quickly identify foods high in sodium, sugars, or saturated fats, and to encourage them in a way to make healthier choices. So the deadline is January 1, 2026. So products manufactured before this date can still be sold until the stock runs out, but after this date, the front of pack compliance is mandatory. So what does the symbol look like? So as you can see in this picture, so the symbol is black and white, and it consists of a solid white rectangular box with a very thin black line border. So there's a black magnifying glass inside the box, and it is left justified, as you can see. There's the heading, high in, and it appears in bold black letters, and it is bilingual. There is at least one bar inside the box that identify the product as high in saturated fats, high in sugars, and or high in sodium, because it can be both as applicable. So this symbol is attributed to the Health Canada inside the box at the bottom, as you can see. Now let's explain deeply what's a buffer zone and why it's important. So basically the buffer zone is the space surrounding the symbol in which no other text or graphic material can appear. So it should be equal to the size of the X height of text in the symbol, except for one thing. There's the Health Canada in both English and French. It doesn't abide to the X height rules. So it's not the same, as you can see. So you have this one, the horizontal one, and you also have this vertical format as well. It's also bilingual, and it also abides to the same X height rules. Now, how many bars have to appear? So we have two conditions. So we basically have PDS more than squared centimeter, and you have PDS less or equal than 30 squared centimeter. So the PDS, it stands for Principal Display Surface. So if the PDS is more than 30 squared centimeters, three bars must always appear in the symbol on packages. This includes the bars required to identify the product as high in saturated fats, sugars, or sodium. These are called nutrient bars. And you also have the blank bars. This will ensure the nutrients are always in the same order. However, if the PDS is less or equal than squared centimeter, the only bars that must appear on these packages are the bars required to identify the product as high in saturated fat, etc. So here the blank bars are not shown in this case. Now let's dive more and let's talk about the thresholds and what are the front of pack nutrition symbol thresholds based on. So the thresholds for front of pack, to start with, they are based on the daily values. So the symbol is required basically when a food is high in nutrients of concern, that are the sodium, sugar, or saturated fats. So how do we decide what high means? So first, for most prepackaged foods with reference amount more than 30 grams or 30 milliliter in case of liquids, that are not main dishes, if it contains 15% or more of the daily value of sodium, sugar, or saturated fats per serving, it needs a front of pack. For the ones less than 30 grams or equal than 30 grams or 30 milliliter, the daily value should be more or equal than 10% daily value, and then it will need an FOP. And lastly, for the main dishes, with a reference amount more or equal than 200 grams, the daily value should be more or equal than 30% of the daily value. So Canada basically will determine the size and format of the front of pack based on the reference amounts customarily consumed, which is the RACC, for the ones that don't know what's RACC, it represents the typical amount of a food that people eat in one sitting. Okay, so it serves as the benchmark for establishing serving sizes on nutrition facts tables. So because the FOP symbol must align with the standard serving sizes, Canada uses the RACC values or reference amounts to ensure the consistency in labeling. And this is like a summary table for everything that we spoke about. The thresholds for the most prepackaged foods, the prepackaged meals that are the main dishes, and the small packages. Now, in front of pack labeling, you'll also hear the word exemptions when we talk about FOP. So what does it really mean? I'm going to give you an example. So it's like a whole pass in school. Certain foods don't need to carry the symbol, even if they technically meet the thresholds. Let's think of apples or frozen, fresh fruit, veggies, milk, eggs, anything. They're already considered healthy, so they get a free pass. And then you have those tiny packages when there's barely room for the logo anyway, those get an exemption too. There are also some temporary exemptions, such as the ground meats, certain sweeteners, and dairy products. Now, let's talk about some common pitfalls that most of us fall for. So, the first common pitfall with the front of pack labeling is misinterpreting the serving size rules. Remember, the thresholds are based on the serving size listed, not on how much people actually eat. So, for example, a bag of chips might list a serving size of 28 grams. But let's be honest, who stops at just one handful? If you eat double that, you're doubling the sodium and fat too. That's why it's really important to understand that front of pack symbol is linked to official serving size, not your snack time reality. The second pitfall, it's another common one. It is applying exemptions incorrectly. So, just because some foods like fresh fruits, veggies are exempt, it doesn't mean that automatically it qualifies. So, I like to say that the exemption, we can say that they are like the VIP passes of food labeling. So, not everyone gets one, right? So, always double check the criteria before assuming your product is off the hook. So, in short, the exemption apply when the food is either naturally healthy, too small to label, or not meant for immediate consumption. And the last common pitfall to watch out is the poor placement or design distortions. So, if the FOP symbol is tiny or stuck on the side, nobody sees, it's like hiding a stop sign. Shoppers might completely miss it and cannot see it. So, now we're gonna dive into how to do it on Food Label Maker software. So it is practically very easy and very user friendly. So first, you have only three steps to follow. So first, you can select the type of format for the FOP. You have all the formats available on our software. You have the standard bilingual, the standard English only without the French, the linear bilingual, and the standard vertical. So you have to select which format do you need. The step two, you need to select the reference amount. So let's say you have cookies, you have to search for cookies, and it will give you the reference amount. Then it will qualify it as if it needs an FOP or not. After this step, your FOP is ready. So as you can see here, these are all the available formats on our software. Okay, so you have the horizontal one, the one with the bilingual, the one with English only, the vertical. Okay, so you have all the different formats. Now it's quiz time. So I'm gonna put also in the chat box a small quiz in order for you to test your knowledge and everything. So let me put it in the chat box. Just a moment. Okay. So a breakfast cereal contains 18 grams of sugars per serving, which is 55 grams. Should this product really display the high in sugars front of pack symbol by 2026? Okay, nice. Wow. I can see some interesting answers. Okay, so so most of you guessed it right. So most of you voted as a yes, and it is true. Um, it's a yes. So it will need a front of pack labeling because it's higher than the daily value. So it is the daily value would be for 18%, and the threshold is 15%. That's nice. Most of you guessed it right. Okay, that's perfect. Okay, so now we're going to dive into the action plan checklist. And by the way, I'm going to attach also in the chat box the action plan checklist for your reference, and or it will support you in the preparation. So as we mentioned before, that the deadline is January 1, 2026. So I'm gonna talk briefly about this checklist. So first, you need to audit your products. So review the entire product line, identify which products exceed threshold for saturated fats, sugars, and sodium. Two, You have to run nutrition analysis, so verify the values against the RACC and confirm the serving sizes match the nutrition facts table. Third step, you should check the exemptions that we talked about earlier. So you should apply permanent exemptions such as the fresh produce, the plain milk, eggs, raw meats, etc. And note, please, that the temporary exemptions, um, the ground meats, certain dairy sweeteners until 2026. And also the consider the size-based exemptions as we were saying earlier. Four, you should design the compliant labels, add the FOP symbol if thresholds are exceeded, ensure the bilingual, display, follow the correct format, and place the symbol. And last, you should document and prepare and to keep the records of all analysis and exemptions. Also, you don't need to memorize every regulation because our platform does that for you. We know that many of you love to stay hands on, and that's exactly what our platform supports. So please, if you're confident with the rules and have the time building your label yourself, that can be really empowering and it can be fun. Also, please, if you would like to book a one on one demo call, you can simply scan this QR code, and I will be more than happy to assist you and guide you through the whole process. But we also understand that sometimes life gets hectic or you just want the peace of mind. That's when hiring an expert can save you time and reduce stress. So you can hire a nutritionist and labeling expert. We have over 25 plus years of experience in food labeling and compliance across different markets, such as the USA, Canada, UK, Mexico, Europe, Australia, and the Middle East. So we will handle all your labels from A to Z. Just send us your recipe details and don't worry about it. We'll take care of the rest.